You're set. Hi, everyone. It is Mercy and Rita with Fidelity National Title with a bunch of special guests today. And Rita is going to introduce them. And you are up.
We trust you guys are all well, and we're super excited to have 4 agents provide to us some insight on what's going on with them and their business. We want to first introduce Marianne Fitch. Marianne's the bottom right there. She is a broker from Hawaii Life Real Estate Brokers. She's been licensed since 1988. You guys then held her own business, Marianne Fitch Realty, Sakamoto, prior to that, co-banker, and now Hawaii Life. She is going to be experiencing her 4th real estate cycle. Next up, we have Courtney Brown, realtor broker and vice president of Island Sotheby's. She was licensed in 1997, and she is about to enter her 3rd real estate cycle. We have Rhonda Sanchez, a realtor broker who's been licensed since 2011, and this is Rhonda's 1st cycle that you're going to be experiencing that started in June 2009. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Tom Tezak, broker and co-owner of Wailea Realty. Oh, don't make me say the whole name. Wailea Realty. What is it again?
It's Wailea Realty Windermere Real Estate is our legal name, but we go by Wailea Realty Windermere Maui.
Okay, thank you. He is going to experience his 3rd cycle, licensed in 2000. So, Marianne, we are going to start with you first. Oh, Tom. Oh.
If I could, I was licensed in actually 1989, but I moved here in 2000 and got licensed here. So I've been in the biz for almost
a long time.
So then this would be your 4th cycle as well.
Sort of. And when I came from the Midwest, we didn't have cycles. It was real stable there. So it was a completely different world.
Yeah, so. Completely. Okay, so we're going to start with Marianne, if you would.
I just can't believe it. I guess I'm the veteran. Tom, if you started in 1989, I started in 88. Wow, I'm dating myself. And the really funny thing is I worked for 12 years before that selling computers and software. So I guess that launches me into, I've never had a sabbatical since 1977 when I graduated from college. I've always wanted to take one. Now I have one. And it's pretty interesting what I'm finding myself doing with my time. Obviously, we have nowhere to go. So, it's been a bit challenging, to be perfectly honest with you, to try to keep mentally up. And I feel like I've been doing pretty well. Probably the most important thing that I decided to do related to my real estate business was something that I thought of while I was out on a very long walk a couple of weeks ago. And I thought, what can I do instead of sending a blanket email and trying to tweak it for each of my 35 listings? And I decided that, is there something I could do or send? And I thought of sending a gift. And what I did was I sent chocolates from Ku'ia Estate Chocolates, which is an absolutely phenomenal new company here on West Maui, whose profits go 100% to charity. And I just drafted a kind of a sweet, simple little note saying that I was thinking of you and hope you're all doing okay. And the thank yous that I've been getting back have meant more to me than closing some of the real estate transactions that I've done. So that's probably the best, single activity that I've done that's generated a lot of communication back, and it's something that I, simple, but feel good about having done.
May I ask you, have you had any cancellations because of this virus? I'm just switching gears a little.
I have not. I had only 3 escrows when we started into this, and one, the buyer did request cancellation. He happened to be a Canadian buyer. All contingencies were released. It had been a very long escrow. And the currency trading was really pretty dramatic between US and Canada. This is just a few weeks ago. And he said that he was prepared to forfeit his $25,000 deposit unless there was some way that we could come up to some sort of agreement with the sellers. To make a long story short, I represented the sellers as well, and I was able to negotiate a 50% purchase money mortgage, which left the buyer with a sufficient enough of, it made him feel comfortable that he had a bit of a cushion and wasn't putting up the whole amount down. So we were very lucky. We closed it. We just happened to have the right buyer and seller that wanted to make the sale happen, and we did get that closed. So that was, again, just a creative thing that wouldn't work in all cases, but it did in this case. And then I closed another one with one of my team members, Debbie Mitchell, a small $400,000 land transaction to a primary resident. Again, extremely rewarding, 100% seller financing on an agricultural loan. So we got that closed on Friday, and then I have one more scheduled for early May that looks like it'll stick.
You mentioned you have 35 listings. What are you telling your sellers at this time about the market?
What I found works best for me and the clients that I have is I've been calling them and spending more time just touching base, seeing how they're doing. The listing doesn't really even come up, to be perfectly honest with you. I think in this time, what I've noticed more than anything else, that people are being kinder. They're not putting you under any pressure. And I'm feeling a sense of caring back and forth. And it has not, for me, been about the business. Now I've been working on escrows that were close before this came about, but I have not opened any new escrows. But I do have a good number of people that I fully expect will go under agreement once this, stage ends or changes. But there's, primarily most people are on the fence. So I have not opened any new escrows in the last 30 days.
Have you had many calls on any of this? I mean, I know some people are still showing property.
I have had a lot of calls, and I've had a significant, way more than normal, reaching out leads on the internet. Some good ones. I guess I should mention that I did have a sale on January 31st that we had just came to agreement on. It was a big oceanfront transaction, dual agency. And on January 31st, I got a call from the buyer saying he was so sorry that he had made a decision during his due diligence period to cancel because he had a bad feeling about the coronavirus. And at that time, I'm thinking, well, isn't that the most ridiculous excuse to back out of a huge transaction? But I was gracious and thought, who am I to question this man's concern? And to make a long story short, look where we are 65 days later. Wow. So will he come back? Probably. But it's a completely different world. And for me, the communication has just been far more personal and far less about the business.
Did you have a question for Marianne?
Yeah, I was just curious, the deal that they carried half of the money, what was the value, or what was the price range roughly?
It was 155.
So not huge, but not small. Okay.
Yeah, so he came in with 775 and they carried 775.
Perfect.
But it worked, so.
How was your first quarter last year versus this year?
Last year I closed 22 million, and this year I've closed 7.5.
Wow. Gotcha.
That's just the first quarter, apples and from Q1 last year and Q1 this year.
You know, just an FYI, there were 155 cancellations March of this year versus 100 last year.
Okay.
That's interesting. And then we had
Yeah.
245 pendings in the month of March of this year versus 150 this past month.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. Could you go over that again, please?
Sure. 245 pendings last March versus 150 this March.
Okay.
Then 155 cancellations in March of this year versus 100, in March of last year. Just
Okay.
the month of March. Any other questions for Marianne, you guys? Okay, then we're going to move on to Miss Vice President Courtney Brown.
Hi, everyone. I should
Hey,
clarify.
Courtney.
Hi.
Hello.
I should clarify, I'm actually not a broker. I'm a salesperson. So I have never taken the plunge to get my broker's license, much, I'm sure, to Paul McLaughlin's chagrin. I've always felt most comfortable as a salesperson, knowing what my strengths are. And I think that that's something that is really important to understand. I've always known that if I was in a broker position, they would probably ask me to review other people's contracts, which I could do, but it's not what I love to do. And so you really have to think about that. And I think that going through this experience right now, it's given me time to reflect on what do I enjoy doing? What projects do I want to do? What can I throw myself into energy-wise? It was, and just to be completely honest, I've had a sinus infection for about 3 weeks actually. And so I had stopped taking showings because I didn't know if I was sick or not sick. And I didn't want to put anyone in harm's way. And then finally, the symptoms just were so bad that I was given an antibiotic on Friday. So I'm just starting to feel a little bit better. But what I was doing was reading a lot, binging a lot of Netflix, spending a lot of time thinking, but I wasn't physically well enough to really do much. And it was a little daunting to, I actually administer a Facebook group for Sotheby's agents. I started it a few years ago after going to one of our global networking events, and it has over 3,000 members. So this little group that I started that I thought wouldn't have very many people in it actually has probably 10% of all the Sotheby's agents worldwide as members. And everyone was sort of in this panic when this first happened, from what I was observing, and they were so busy doing things. Everybody was trying to do things to keep busy, and I was spending the time thinking about what I wanted to do, which is a very different approach to things, I think, and more reflective of who I am and also what I've learned over the past few years. And so for me, I've spent more time thinking about what it is that I want to do with my business, how I foresee it going over the next few years. And then also too, trying to remember that this is an unprecedented time. Very few of us have ever seen anything like this or experienced anything like this in our lifetimes. You know, I do have some older clients that have lived through wars and so forth that certainly have far greater perspective than my generation does. But I think that another thing as agents, like Marianne was saying, is it's our role to really be empathetic right now, to listen to our clients. And our focus shouldn't necessarily be on how it's impacting us so much as what's impacting our clients. What's the right thing for them? Are they scared? Many of them are scared. Many of them are feeling pressure. Depending where they live, they may have lost loved ones. They may be in the process of going through that. And so I do think it's really important to take yourself out of the equation in real estate. Your own personal goals and needs, if they're not aligned with your clients, then it's not the best thing that you can be doing for them. So for me, that's been a lot of it too, is reflecting on, you know, what's the right thing for my clients, calling them to make decisions about their listings, for my buyers that are under contract right now. I extended all of their due diligence periods.
Are you getting many requests from owners to list properties? And if so, what are you sharing with them?
Sure. I think right now that anyone trying to make predictions about the market is really not they don't have all of the information. So, you know, I'm not an economist, and I think it's helpful to listen to what economists have to say. I think it's helpful to read industry news, but if I were to try and predict where the market is going, I don't know that that would best serve my clients. I mean, we've all had experience during different cycles, and, you know, my biggest concern prior to going into where we are now with the coronavirus was that historically, I've seen a falling off of activity anytime we have an election year, depending on how much political mudslinging there is, depending on how much the economy gets brought up. So, you know, that was where my head was going for this year, was what are we going to see this year during election time? And of course, all of this has been superseded. And when this first started, one of my biggest concerns was, how are my clients going to do during tax season? And of course, now that's been pushed and so forth and changed. So, you know, I think we're all watching things. I would be hesitant to make predictions. So for my clients, I deal in a different market. Marianne and I and Tom, we were kind of all in the same. Rhonda, I think you tend to work maybe a little bit more with primary residents that are home buyers here. So we're dealing with different markets. For a second home market, right now, most clients, unless they're investors that are very familiar with the property, they're not able to fly here to see the property. So for a lot of my listings where the buyers are predominantly second homes, if they've been on the market for a while, we've discussed taking it off the market so that we're not building up time on market when people aren't able to come here and take a look at it. So I think it's a very individual thing that you have to do. And if they were also, these are clients that have turned down maybe other offers or felt that the market wasn't quite to their expectation. They're not desperate sellers. So, you know, you have to gauge what each individual client is dealing with and what's the appropriate course of action for them.
Have you lost any escrows because of what's going on?
I did. I just lost an escrow. So everything was moving along quite smoothly. It was a finance transaction, and the buyer's lender was unable to get verify future employment. So the escrow was canceled. You know, talking with my sellers, they were very upset. It was about an hour-long conversation about what happens when financing doesn't, you know, come to fruition. They were concerned that we hadn't pre-qualified them. We explained the lending process, that of course they are verifying employment at the time, but they're going to continue to check. And unfortunately, you know, for that particular buyer, his concerns probably are facing unemployment. So you have to really explain the situation so that there's understanding. And at the end of the conversation, you know, the sellers were disappointed, but very understanding.
What we have been told nationally at Fidelity for refinances especially is that, you know, we've opened so much with the interest rates a few months ago so low that now most of them are canceling, or, you know, about 40% of them are canceling because of the verification of employment, which is going to take a huge toll on all of us here, and especially in Hawaii. Thank you. Any questions for Courtney, you guys? Okay, Ms. Rhonda, you are next. Share, please.
Share how I've changed or how things have just kind of evolved.
Just everything. What are you doing with your clients? What are you doing at the time?
Starting about, I would say like what Courtney was saying. First, I want to say it's an honor to be with Tom, Courtney, and Marianne. I mean, this is, you guys have been, you know, distant mentors, and it's an honor to be with you guys. I want to say that I started seeing a slowdown actually after Christmas. And the slowdown was more related to what Courtney was reflecting on, and that was the election. And it was a very strong presence on the North Shore. I don't know why more than others. Maybe someone just didn't comment on it. So there was a lot of conversation about delaying, waiting, what do you think? And, you know, trying to answer this question for my clients. And I felt like I would just listen to what they had to say. They just wanted to talk to somebody about it. I feel that there are buyers even at election time. So what happened also was about the 1st of March, I started seeing that the coronavirus was going to become an issue. The conversation just got stronger and stronger. And I started to communicate to my sellers first and foremost. And I started to call, just like Marianne was saying. I just started calling and having conversations on how this was creating pressure for them. And a lot of my sellers, my listings, weren't feeling any pressure, but they expected me to know something they didn't know. And that was the pressure I felt, that I needed to know something. So I started diving into it and trying to figure out more, but we didn't know how it was affecting the real estate market yet, correct? So the only thing that I did is I rebounded back with an email based on, it's going to be all about online. As we all experience, but for some reason, towards the end of March, I just started communicating to my clients right away. I'm going to step it up big time, and I'm going to be a little bit more, I'm going to pull from the print a little bit more, and I'm going to go heavy into social media. And I have, and I've actually taught myself new ways, learned new ways, considering other ways. Coldwell Banker just put out this huge platform creating websites and things like that. And I've never jumped on those things before, but this time I did, because I think we all need support in a lot of areas. So now my clients, like I just put a listing out today, 5 million. And I was like, when this all first started and we were discussing doing this and the photos hadn't started yet, I was like consciously having some problems with putting a $5 million property out on the market today. I was just like, consciously I'm having, but I didn't express this to the seller because I work for the seller and I needed to go forward. And so I'd always check in on them personally, person to person, and go, how you feeling? I mean, I'm having a hard time doing showings. I go in, I clean a house before I go in. I clean a house after I leave. Do you still want this to happen inside your home? You have a beautiful home here. Well, we probably pulled off about 4 pre-listing showings of the property. And I would say one person, just so you guys know, that was very interested, and we thought we held this off the market because we thought we were going to go into escrow. Guess what their line of business was? Luxury tour boats, the big boats, the tour boats. And that was the first industry that just got shut down. So we lost a very good buyer. So now I'm faced with the sellers are looking at me as they want to know something from us, right? So I'm trying to read up. I love what NAR is sending out, and I'm reading as much as I can, because even though we don't have any answers, they're still looking to us for the answers, or just conversation. And I don't, like Courtney was saying, I go in and I'm like, I don't have the answer, but we can have a short game plan. So I've been creating short game plans, maybe a month at a time, not long-term game plans. And I have lost, I didn't lose a listing. I just had, hey, let's go off the market until August, and then I have some people that think that being online and just being seen, because there's a lot of people out there that still love real estate and they don't know what to do, and they're just going like this and they're looking at it. And I want to have the best photo. I want to have the best video. I will do all I can to make it look sensational online. I don't really care about print right now. I don't, but until we get some airplanes coming back in, right? So I'm just acting as a friend to my seller that in like, hey, what do you want to do? This is what's happening. The planes aren't coming in. People are at home and they're looking, and the people that are doing high-end real estate, they're still shopping. I'm getting calls, like Marianne was saying. I'm getting calls, but I'm just getting calls. We're just having conversations. It's very personal right now. Very, very personal.
What's your buyer versus seller breakdown of your business? Like, do you work with 40% buyers, 60% sellers?
It's evolved. I find that I'm really working with sellers a lot right now. I don't do the volume that Marianne and Tom do, and Courtney also. But on the North Shore, I'm working with sellers. I'm getting calls on my like 1.5 and $1 million listings. I'm getting calls on them from people, and those are the buyers that I'm staying in touch with. I have a full pool of buyers. Don't get me wrong. I have buyers I market to and I write to and I communicate to, but the people that I'm on the front lines with and boots on the ground with right now are my sellers, because they feel a little insecure, a little not, grounded, but I have to help them understand these are the tools that I think are the best right now, and I'm going to go at them full on, and let's just see what happens. I don't promise anything, like Courtney was saying, no promises. All I can tell you is you're going to get the best out of me every single day. So.
Have you lost any escrows because of this?
No, just a listing got canceled. We'll come back on. I did finish a small land at Haiku Town Acres. I finished that by the skin of our teeth. And I mean, the market was going up and the market was going down, and they were pulling out from their market money. And I just called them one day. I go, you don't have to do this. You don't have to go through this. It's okay with me. But they said, no, we want to make sure that we have a future for their circumstances. This was an important comment. And so I stood by them, as we all do, and helped them through it. And it was, I'm happy for them. It closed just last week or so.
Any questions for Rhonda, you guys?
Hey, Rhonda, what are you seeing? Like, I think it was you had mentioned that you working that more residential style market. Are you seeing a difference in perspective from the buyers and the sellers than you are? I know you worked with a little bit of second home buyers, so you have that knowledge, but I'm curious what they're saying, what they're thinking.
You know what? There is like a gulch between the buyers I see. I'm seeing buyers that are like 1 million to 1.5, and then I'm just seeing buyers that can buy 5 million, 4 million, and these people are in a I want to say in a bubble. They're not affected as some of us are on a week-to-week basis and a month-to-month basis. So I hope I'm answering this question right, but the buyers that I'm seeing that come and look at the higher end things, they're either cashed out of California or Colorado predominantly. Those coming to the North Shore, they're coming from, for me, they're Malibu people. They're you guys might be experiencing the same thing. I don't know, but I can look back at my last 2 years and I can see the graph of the dominance of people from California, especially Los Angeles. So they are already cashing out of something, and they are ready to rumble.
Thank you, Rhonda. Tom Tezak, you are up.
Thank you. So yeah, I think it's interesting from my perspective, and I really appreciate all of you ladies' perspective. And I'm the only guy on this show, so it's like, yeah. So I think I see the world a little different than the three ladies on the panel, because I'm a broker owner. So I'm also not only responsible for my business, but I ultimately take responsibility for another 50 agents in the company's business, and trying to be a leader. I've really sort of redirected my energy to say, okay, I'm not going to worry about my clients. I mean, we have a great relationship. That'll happen. But I'm really more concerned with my agents and trying to be a leader for them and trying to give them insight and keep them out of the quicksand. I've shared with a couple of my agents already that, through the course of this, there's been a few times, because they're always like, man, you're always so upbeat. It's like, not always, only when I'm in front of you guys. And just know that I've been caught halfway in the quicksand as well. And I think it happens to every single one of us through this experience, that we get caught in our own little heads in this space. And it's just, come on, guys, we got to get out. So for me, I've been really focusing on helping the agents in my company, my business partner, and we're all working together in this to just make sure we're focused on how do we finish? How do we get out of this? And what do we do once we're through it, so that we're doing the right thing and helping everybody get through it. And so, first of all, as far as what am I telling my clients, I'm really not telling them anything. It's sort of like I'm asking them, what can I do to help? How can I help you? What do you need? We're reaching out to our clients with phone calls, like everybody else has said. Hey, how can I help? What can I do? Marianne, I love the chocolate. I've sent a bunch of it out myself. I think it's a great way to just say, hey, we're here, we love you, and making that connection. as far as the couple listings that I do have, I canceled, I think 4 listings, 3 clients. All of them had just said, I'm not a buyer seller. I don't need to sell right now. I think that any buyers we're going to see are going to be coming in, at the juggler, and I don't need that. So let's just reset the listings, put them back on the market when we know what's going on. I said, no problem. We'll pull them all. We'll pull them off. So I think that was prudent. For the listings that are on the market, I went out, ironically, a couple months ago, I bought one of the Ricoh Theta 360 cameras. It's a Matterport style camera. I'm doing my own 360-degree walkthrough tours. That was just happenstance, but those have been working great. I'm using that camera to create some other tools and resources, like we call it a video, a Maui minute, so we can bring people into Maui and just have them get that experience. The other thing I think is really important, somebody said having grace, and I think that all of us and everybody that's watching this, people are doing and saying things that they're going to look back at and think, oh, shoot, I wish I wouldn't have said that, or I wish I wouldn't have reacted that way. And I think we're all guilty, and I think we really just need to sort of put all of those things that happened in the last 2 months and that will happen in the next month, put them in a box and put them up on the shelf, and in 90 days, forget about all that stuff. Don't hold an agent responsible for something that they did, or a fellow business partner at this point in time. I think because none of us really know what we're doing, and we're all trying to figure it out. And so grace like rain is something that my wife always taught me. And so that's what I try when I hear somebody say or do something. It's like, just let it be, and let it be grace like rain, because I think that's the best thing that we can do as a small community of realtors. I had a conversation with an agent in my company who was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this agent did this. And it's just like, just give him grace, because we're all capable of making stupid decisions at this point. So, I think that's it. Again, this all comes from the leadership position that I'm finding myself in. And I'm connected throughout with agents like you, Courtney, around the country through some of the networks that I'm on. And I'm spending a lot of time on Zoom. I'm now teaching agents how to be good Zoomers as opposed to being bad Zoomers.
Can you come over and help me, Tom?
Yes. Okay. So if you're going to get up and walk around, turn your camera off, because it's we want to do that. But anyway, it's just trying to be proactive in all of this. One of the other things we with our company, we're doing meetups. We do our Monday meeting religiously every Monday morning, and we have found that has been the best thing for our company. All of our agents are coming together. We had 44 agents. We have 55 agents in the company. We had 44 of them at our meeting this morning, which we never get. We get 20, 25 at a regular meeting, and everybody is really starving for information. And I'm going out and doing tons of research and bringing it all back to the team and to the family of agents that we have. And they're bringing information in. I will tell you that has been incredibly powerful. And then at the end of the week, we have a happy hour. So at 4 o'clock on Friday, we're doing a happy hour. And so we all just join in. If anybody wants to join us, let me know. I'll give you the link to come to our happy hour. Next Monday, we have our Windermere economist is going to be at our meeting. So he's going to be doing question and answer. And I'm contemplating opening that up to all the other agents as well, because it's so powerful to be armed with this knowledge. That knowledge creates power for when you're talking to your clients. So I think all of those things that we're doing as a company really are helping our agents keep their head on straight. And we've also been calling and talking to all of our agents on a private and independent individual basis, because we want them to know if there's anything we can do for them, we're here. It's not about real estate. It's really all about, let's figure out how to get through this. We've done trainings on how to apply for the grant monies and the loans. So that's been my big focus, as more than what's happening with my business, my personal real estate business. Another thing that I think is time blocking for everybody out there who's watching and saying, well, I'm sort of stuck. I'm not getting out of my pajamas. Sit down, time block, get your schedule in place, get up, get in the shower, get out, get your exercise. My mental health time has been, I live inside of a golf course, so I've been walking out every day and walking the golf course and collecting golf balls. Now, I don't golf, but I've got like hundreds of golf balls, and it's become, I put my podcast in on my ears, I take my stick and my backpack, and I just go and I walk and I get exercise, and it's that release for me. I think we all need that at this time too. what do we do to just sort of get out and get doing it? And then I'm also now, I do podcasts for resort agents as another path that I go. And so I've been doing a lot of podcast recording now as well, because it's that opportunity for me to do that. So
as a company, did you guys lose a lot of escrows because of this?
We've lost a few, probably 7 or 8 that I'm aware of. I know that was a question you had asked. I had one, the buyers called in, said it was a dual agency. Another agent in my company said, hey, we want to cancel. I went back to him and said, wait, how about we extend instead of cancel? Let's give this some time to work through. Your buyer still wants to buy, the seller still wants to sell. Instead of just cutting it off at the knees, I'm sure my seller would agree to give you an extra 30 days. And that kept it together. Whether it'll cancel in another 2 weeks, I don't know, but at least we're still got a fighting chance. I had one deal that I was a co-lister and a seller on. That one we got through. And then I've got another one that was a Canadian buyer and a Canadian seller. And that, I think we've got that figured out now. So, and that's been delayed, but we looks like we're
getting. You say that it's the whole signing off of, correct? And the Bureau accepting their signatures?
Yes. So I understand that that's now worked out for Canadian. They've got some process in place for that. So that was good news for those folks, because everybody wants to go forward and they've just been getting held up. So, and business-wise, you were asking that. I'm probably 25% up this year than I was over last year. So, but I was sort of, after the year before, I had a pretty crazy year. I took a break. So I'm back to work.
What? What'd you take?
A break.
What is that, Rita?
Any questions for Tom? Mr. Tezak?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment that goes along with what Tom was saying, is that I have found podcasts personally in 2018, I lost both of my parents, and that was a really hard thing to go through. And actually, Marianne was really great about checking in on me and made me go out to a charity event and get myself out of the house. And it was different because I was spending a lot of time on my own because I wanted to, not because, like now we're all being asked to shelter in place. It was different because people were still reaching out, and that meant the world to me. What also helped me, though, was listening to podcasts, because I found it changed the dialogue in my head. It changed the thought process that I was having. So I listen to a variety of podcasts. Right now, I'm really enjoying Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. I think it's really good to laugh and to remember to laugh and to have that in your life. So whatever it might be. There's another podcast that I really liked by a realtor who's with Sotheby's that is out of Atlanta. And she interviews other realtors from around the nation. And one interview that she had wasn't with a broker, but was with a business coach that actually works in real estate and with other professions as well. And she told a story that I could relate to very much. And it's something that I try to remember during this time, which was that she talked with a woman who had also recently lost her father. And the woman was so focused on her business. I have to do things. I have to do all this stuff to get back into business. And so the coach asked her about her fears. You seem to be filling time with doing things. So what is it that's propelling that? What are you afraid of? And the woman was very afraid that her business would fall apart and would not succeed. And what she reminded her of, and what I think is really important for all realtors, is that we're very resilient people. Realtors get up every day, whether or not there's a pandemic, and we're self-starters. We do things on our own. We continue to grow our business on our own. We're all self-employed. And so if you can remember how resilient you are, so Marianne going through 4 cycles, I've been through 3, we've been through up times, down times, we've been through escrow canceling. We've all been there. We know how to do this. We just have to remember that you have that resilience and that resourcefulness and call upon that. And it can be hard to do that. And if you see that you have a colleague or a friend that is, really having a hard time remembering that, it's good to talk about it and remind them that, by our very nature, what we do, we are resilient people.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my thought for everyone.
It's a great point.
Yeah. I wanted to also go back to what Miriam and Tom were saying about giving something away, you know, sending a gift. Being locked in the house and everything, what I started doing is I have amazing stack of Mama's Fish House postcards, and I'm just
Perfect.
I'm just resorting to like a 1980, what would we have done? And
That's great.
so I've been sending those out to buyers and sellers. I think that everybody at home that's listening to this, there's a wide array of agents, right? So what can they do? It's from the most simplest thing to just do a postcard and send it out and say hi. And if you can do chocolate, great, but anything to just reach out, because we're all in a bubble. All of us are.
Thank you for starting that, actually. Tom, sorry.
Well, and that like too is what I did. I started doing this a year ago when I was traveling a lot on a plane. I've got all of my clients and friends' birthdays, and I sit on a plane and I'll just write birthday cards for the next 3 months.
Nice.
And we have that ability to go to Facebook, find all of your clients that are in there, find out when their birthdays are, and put a list. And then right now is a great time to sit and write 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 birthday cards, write the date on them, and have them ready to go. I mean, if you're looking for things to do that are proactive, and that birthday card that comes in the mail, I had one of my clients this year said, because do you know you are the only person to send me a birthday card and you're my realtor? My brothers and sisters didn't send me a birthday card.
We all get text messages and Bitmojis.
But the power of that, I mean, you know, so if you're looking for things to do that have lasting impact and power, it's so simple. And you have the information at your disposal. Just
That's
go.
right. You know, Tom, you're so right. We have it at our disposal. And I spent about a week and a half spinning my wheels. I want everyone to know that spinning your wheels is your process of getting back to the creative. So we're into this complete mode of work, and then the way we work stops. There's going to be this gap of like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Let it happen. Spin your wheels. Just, you know, keep time block for sure. Try to get up, make your bed.
I need to learn how to fold my sheets.
And that process, it's okay. I just want everyone to know, and I've told my girls this, my family, it's okay. Because this process is just shaping all of us and creating what we are supposed to be right now. And it can be a beautiful thing. It really could. And do the creativity like what Tom and everybody's talking about.
I actually had a broker, a high-end broker, ask me to ask this question to each of you. So if you don't mind, they want one best practice professionally right now. And I know we talked about cards, but if you don't mind, Marianne, if you'd start, one best practice right now. And if you don't have one, that's totally fine too.
I don't know. I mean, this may sound maybe on the spiritual side, but I find that I'm being much more compassionate, kind, patient, which is absolutely not one of my virtues, and trying to be hopeful. So it's not really a business practice again. It's more action and how I'm feeling. And it's just it's a perfect opportunity to just be a bit more human and not as, at least I should speak for myself, not as driven. And it's been feeling really, really good. And the thank yous that I've been getting back from clients and just messages that they leave, just kind of a lot of the same, which is nice. The frenetic insanity seems to have subsided for a bit.
Courtney.
So I've been asked this before, and I've had agents who are newer call and say, you know, I had one back when, you know, we were doing open houses, had called and said, I can't, I'm going to close up my open house. I'm going to pack it in. There's no one coming. And I said, well, personally, if it were me, I would stay at your open house because your chances of meeting someone are greater at the open house than in your living room watching television. But also, too, what I would also do is when you're sitting open house or when you're in your practice of your real estate right now, what are the questions that you're being asked that you're not comfortable answering? And why aren't you comfortable answering them? A lot of times it's because you might not have the information at your fingertips, or you might feel like you don't know it well enough. So to me, it's the time to take those questions that you get asked most often and research them and be able to answer them and get a comfort level with what it is. And each person is going to have different questions that they're being asked in their market. And that's unique to them. And by going ahead and doing the research and finding out the answers, that's going to give them a comfort level. So it's quite funny, but sometimes people say to me, well, you're kind of known for stats and data. And actually, that is my least favorite part of what I do. It's the thing I really don't care for. But what started it was back when we had the market crash in 2008. And around 2009, 2010, the question I was getting asked the most was, how much has the market changed? So right now, I don't think we're in a position to answer how much has something changed. The time period is too short right now. And like I said, we really don't know where it is. But we do have the ability to say where we were and to understand where that market was, and to research and have that data. And that data is available. I think when looking at data on Maui, it's always important to remember that we have very small data samples. So you really can't just look at numbers in certain projects without understanding sometimes, have they been upgraded or renovated, or what might have been different? Was the view better? So whatever you can do to familiarize yourself with something that you consider yourself to be an expert in or to be marketing toward, then that's what I would go ahead and research right now. There's no better time than to take this time and invest it in your business in that way.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you. Rhonda, best practice.
The best thing for me is it's actually twofold. I hate to do that to you, but some of you might know I do have a private gym, and I have been training the same people for like 20 years, and they're older. They're older than me, and they can't come anymore, and they can't move, and it's very important to me. So what's really important to me is to work out, but now I do it for others. So I do video it, I put it on my Vimeo channel, and I send it to them. So working out just for myself, as you all know, is really a hard thing to do. It's hard to motivate, but because I know I'm doing it for them, and they're not hard or anything, but because I know I'm doing it for them, I get in there and I'm like, they need to have this new workout. And I have one gentleman that doesn't have an arm. He has one arm, and I said, let's get that can of beans, Max, and let's go. So I end up going, all right, I had a good day. I did what I needed to do for me, and I gave it back away. So that just fuels me.
That's great.
You said it was twofold.
That was it. I do it for me, and then I give it away. I video it.
Thank you.
And I don't edit it. I do not edit it at all. I'm not doing those things where it's like, online you see everybody working out perfectly. No, not at all. And they're on my Vimeo channel if you guys need them. I'm giving them away. It's like all of a sudden I have like 8 workouts on my real estate Vimeo. I'm like, oh, this has to change, but I have
them out via email or on social media, because I have seen them. I have to confess I haven't worked out, but I have worked out.
I like watching people work out. It makes me feel good.
Something like that. But really nice job on that.
Best practice.
Tom Tezak. Oh, volume.
So I think I'm really going to launch in a little deeper and take what Rhonda has said, and that's video. I think that if anybody who's out there listening, watching, if you haven't embraced video, you're really going to be in trouble. I think that, quite honestly, this whole event that's happening right now, what it's going to do is open the door for us to be selling way more real estate from afar than we ever were. We always, all of us said, oh, I can go and we can show to you, we can sell it from long distance, but it was always our second choice, right? It's always, I'd rather have you be here, come and show it, come walk through it with me. But we could do virtual tours and walkthroughs and video and FaceTime. I think it's going to be different now. I think if you can embrace video and you can learn how to show via Zoom and show via FaceTime, the consumers that we deal with are all CEOs, CFOs, higher end, high net worth owners, employees, upper management. They today are all in Zoom meetings daily. They're all living a new life of doing everything via Zoom and video. Why? I mean, to me, that's just like, holy crap, this is golden opportunity, guys, because now those clients that are coming in the next 6 months and 12 months, when they're not here yet, we can say, hey, let's just Zoom you in. We'll go get it. We'll tie it up and then just come out here. And they'll say, sure, no problem. Where before there was a big resistance to doing it long distance. So many clients wanted to, oh, I got to be there and I got to see it, touch it, feel it. I think that mentality has just been broken down for the past 2 months and for the next 2 months. And it's going to change people forever. And for us, I think the next 6 months are going to suck for Maui real estate. But I think going further in the distance, that if you haven't embraced Zoom and you haven't embraced video, I think that's a huge mistake. And I hope that, for all of the agents that want to be successful, that's going to be one of the biggest value plays and biggest opportunities that you're going to have.
I'd like to add to that, if I may, just real quick. Tom is 110% correct, and he's been preaching this for a while now, actually. And the thing that I do with photographers that I hire is that within my package, I always order 10 to 15, 30-second video snips. And so I get a professional move. And I've been doing that for a year now. And for social media, you have to have it, because even if you're just, hey, today we're talking about the kitchen, we have to get down and into details on video. We can't just go, that 3-minute video is history, right, Tom?
Absolutely.
We do need it. Like, people are used to it, but now it's all about 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And if you do a minute, you're too late. You've lost me, and you've lost people that are online, because it is that fast.
Rhonda, I think you're right. And that's what I just did a mastermind for realtor, second home agents or resort agents across the country a couple days ago. And that was one of the things that we're talking about, is no longer is it one video. It's one main video and then deep dive into the beach, deep dive into the neighborhood, deep dive, and doing all of these small, because people right now, they're starving for anything they can find. And video is the most powerful, captivating thing that they have. Everybody would rather watch a video today.
Right. And not only that, they don't like those 3-minute songs. I'm sorry. Those songs are horrible. So forget the music on the little ones and just give them, today we're going to see 30 seconds of the pan of the kitchen. I mean, I sit there with the photographers, and now I've figured out who can do it right and do it. And now we can all do it ourselves, just so you know. You don't have to have a photographer do it for you. You can do it on iMovie easily. You can do it. There's so many apps that allow you to edit a movie, right, Tom? And just take your 3-minute movie, and you'll have a learning curve that'll make you not want to go crazy, but just hang in there, because the tool you're about to use is going to benefit you for another couple of years greatly.
Rhonda, I think you're making it way harder than it needs to be, with all respect and love. Honestly, how many times have you gone to a property to show it and the buyer's agent's not there yet? Take that minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Grab your camera and just say, hey, today I'm going to tell you about the kitchen. Check out these drawers, and have it be as raw as possible, because that works too, because it's real. And just focus on one thing every time you go for a showing, and just put it out there on IG or on Facebook or wherever you're comfortable, and just start blasting those little snippets out there, and people will get the hang of what you're doing. And I think you don't need to go to the full production route, I guess is what I'm saying, because that's intimidating for people, or financially intimidating as well. So just
depends on your product for sure, but
absolutely.
Bottom line, video, like Tom's saying, and snippets of video is the only way now, my opinion.
We are 60 minutes in, so we are going to ask any more questions, you guys. Okay, thank you guys so much. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you guys again so much for your time.
Thank you.
And hope to see you guys in real life soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.